In a previous video, we took a closer look at monitors with System Center Operations Manager 2016. Well, in this video, we're going to look at optimizing rules and just take a closer look at rules. And I will actually demonstrate how to create some rules at the end of this video. So in this video, we're going to look at creating rules, modifying existing rules, and optimizing performance counters. So the first thing that we would probably do is define what is a rule. And a rule defines the events and performance data to collect from computers and what to do with that particular information. Unlike monitors, rules do not affect the health state of that target object. They're used for one of three functions, such as you have alerting rules. Now, alerting rules will create an alert when a particular event is detected. Now, this could be any type of event. You'll just click the data source. Whenever you're creating the rule, you'll click the data source, and then you'll see a list of different kinds of events that you can be alerted on. Now, alerting rules do not affect the health state. Collection rules. Now, collection rules collect events or performance data to the operations manager database or data warehouse database, and also they do not create alerts or set a health state. And lastly, you have command rules. And command rules will run a script or command on a particular schedule. Now, just because I say these rules do not create alerts or collections on any data does not mean that they cannot be configured to, dependent upon what information is collected, to raise an alert because of that. And I'll show you that when I walk through the demo. Now, although rules do not collect health information on an object, rules are still important because you could create a rule if you want to collect some performance counters or events for analysis and for running your reports. So rules are very important in Operations Manager. And also, you would create a rule if you want to generate an alert that's not related to the health state of a particular object. To create a rule, you would go to the authoring pane in the operations console and under management pack objects, right mouse click rules and then click create rules. And that will open up the create rule wizard. And you see you have your alert generating rules, your collection rules, and your timed commands. Now under your alert generating rules, you have rules for generic CSV text logs or generic text logs or NT event log alerts or syslog alerts. Under your collection rules, you have event-based rules, performance rules, probe-based rules, and under the time command, you see you have your execute a command or execute a script. And then, of course, you would save that rule in and unseal management pack. Seal management packs come with their own set of rules. These are predefined settings that are in that rule, and they're pretty generic. Basically, management packs try to be available for the many. So when you want to go in and specify some specifics for your environment, you can go in and create an override. So you would go to that particular rule that you wish to override. You can go into the properties of the rule and you'll see several different tabs. Now the configuration tab helps you configure the rule. So the upper section, which is the data source, controls the rule's input. And when you click edit, you'll actually see the different data source you provided whenever you actually created the rule or when the rule was created, such as performance counter information. Now, the contents of the dialog box will actually change according to the kind of data source that you choose whenever the rule was actually created. And you can change the actual data collection information really easily, but you cannot change the optimization information. And I'll talk about the optimization information in just a second. Now, the lower section contains information on how the rule reacts to new input. So you can actually add new responses, or you can edit existing responses to match the requirements of whatever your particular setup, and you can even remove responses if you don't need them. Now, this slide shows the properties of a Windows NT event collection rule, and it shows the actual, under the log name, it shows the log file that the rule is going to parse, and in this case, this is the system log. And then under the expression tab, this is where you can actually build your expression to filter out the events. So you can, and this one is just saying the event ID is based on these specific DNS event IDs. Whenever you walk through the wizard of creating a new rule, you're going to get to a section where it says Optimize Performance Collection Settings. Providing an optimization setting for the rule allows you to create or to make sure that you get better performance from your system. Now, because a third-party vendor can't actually guess about your system setup, most third-party rules don't include any optimization strategy, but when you add a strategy to your rule, you can kind of enhance the system performance significantly. So when defining the optimization settings, you can indicate a tolerance value. Now, what this means is that this value is used to determine if the new rule for the counter that's actually being monitored is going to be added to the database. So if the new rule value is either higher or lower than the last value that's actually stored by more than a particular tolerance, either a specific tolerance value or a percentage, then you can determine whether that information is going to be stored in the database. So this allows you to kind of control, because when you do performance collection rules, performance rules, it can collect a lot of information and store it in the database, but do you really need it? So if you do high optimization, this stores less data in the database, but it also has some drawbacks because the data can be less accurate, but it does use less bandwidth whenever it's storing data. So when you select your tolerance level, you're saying that if the last value was within a tolerance of 5, let's just say if I am collecting information on percent processor time, and the original collected value was 50% CPU usage, and the next collection interval, the value was 52% CPU. Well, because I have a tolerance of 5, high or low, that value of 52 CPU is not going to be stored in the database. So you see that that it actually stores less information in the database, but when it actually comes to the accuracy of the data, I've missed that particular counter because it was within my variance of tolerance, or I can just do percentage. Now, when you do low optimization, this is going to store more data in the database. The reports that you run based on this data are going to be more accurate, but it will use more bandwidth when it's collecting the information, and it'll use more storage space when it's storing the information. So you're going to have to balance the two of, do I want more accurate data, or do I want to limit the amount of bandwidth and storage that's being used to collect the data? In this video, we're going to see how to create a rule. If I open up the Operations Manager console and then click under the Authoring workspace, under Management Pack Objects, I could just click Rules, and I will right mouse click the rule and click Create a New Rule. And this brings up the Create a New Rule wizard, and this is where you'll select the type of rule that you're going to create. Now I'm going to do two rules for you. The first one, I'm just going to walk you through how to do a collection rule, and then I'll show you how to do an alert generating rule. Remember, collection rules and time command rules do not generate an alert. So under the collection rules, I am going to select performance-based, and this is just a Windows performance. Now I could have event-based rules, probe-based rules. It just depends. I'm just going to select a Windows performance I can even do WMI performance, SNMP performance. So under the Windows performance, I'll need to select the management pack, and I'll just use my OpsMan management pack again. Click next, and I'll just type the name of the rule. Now in this rule, I'm just going to collect logical disk information on the drive C, percent free space for logical disks on drive C. After I give it a name and a description, it's an optional description, but it helps. Then what category? Now you see this is a performance collection rule category, but you can choose any of these if you choose to. I just allow the wizard to select the correct category. But you have options of operations, event collection, state collection, security health, but this is going to be a performance collection rule. And the rule target, now this is what group of computers, now this could be a group that's created by a discovery, or you can actually create your own group in Operations Manager and then target that group. That's probably the best thing to do. Now using the common targets, I'm going to select the Windows Server 2012 R2 server operating system as my group. So this would be collecting this information off all my 2012 servers that have an agent installed on them. The rule is enabled. I'll click next. The performance counter, well, I'm going to just click, if you click select, that allows you to go in, browse either this computer or another computer, and I'm going to find the object of logical disk, and the counter will be percent free space for the C drive. Click OK. My collection interval, 15, but it could be seconds, minutes, hours, or days. I'll just accept the default of 15 minutes. Click Next. And this is where you have the option to do your optimized collection. This is the only place that you'll get a chance to optimize collection. And I talked about that a few minutes ago, where you can determine just how much information is going to be collected and stored into your database. If you do high optimization, less data stored in your database, but your reports are going to be less accurate. If you do low optimization, which is the default, it's going to store more data in the database. It's going to be more accurate, but it's going to use more storage and bandwidth to collect that information. Once you're satisfied about your optimized performance collection settings, just click Create, and that will create the rule for you. And just like monitors, as soon as the rule is collected or created, it starts collecting data. Now, let me just show you the difference in that and the event collecting rule. So I'll right mouse click Rules again, create a rule. This time I'll do an alert generating rule. Under event based, I'll still select NT event log, my management pack. Click next. Give the rule a name. Now with this rule, I want to be notified via an alert anytime the software protection service has stopped. So that's what I've named my rule, and again, you'll select your target. I'm going to target my Windows Server 2012 R2 servers. And you'll also see that the rule category is now defaulted to alert, because I'm going to create an alert base rule. So I'll click next. And the log that I'm searching, is it going to be the application log? Is it going, and I'll just hit the little ellipse button over here, and you can select your log. Is this a hardware event, Internet Explorer, security log, system log? There are a plethora of logs to actually choose from. And you can also change the computer where the log is located. I'm going to choose the application log, click next. And after I click next, this is when I will build my expression. So I can actually change the parameters, the logical operators. I can insert expressions, groups, or and groups or groups, logical ands or logical ors. I can delete any group that's there, and I can actually use the formula. So if I switch over to a different computer, I'll see that the software protection service has stopped has an event ID of 903. So that's what I will actually put under the event ID. So you see I have put the event ID value as being 903. Now as far as your logical operators, you can click equals, does not equals, less than, greater than. So this one is just equal. And you can also change your parameter name by hitting the ellipse button. And if I hit the ellipse button, I can see it could be either event category, event ID, event level, the logging computer. So I have several options by hitting the drop down. And you can specify events specific parameters to use or use a parameter name that's not specified. Now you see I have a little red exclamation point. That's because it's looking for another value here. I can click in this column and just delete this line. Okay, so now I'm ready to click next. And this is where you can actually go in and configure your alerts. It has the alert name, which is the actual name of the rule, priority, set your severity level, warning information of critical. I can even add alert fields, custom alert fields, and I can just customize any alert fields. I have 10 options there. And I can do alert suppression. So a suppressed alert increases the repeat count of that alert by 1, but fields have to be identical for the alert to be considered as a duplicate and suppressed alert. Once I'm satisfied with the rule, I'll just click create. And also under the description, I can go in and add additional descriptions here. If I hit this ellipse button, I could do either target or data. I'll just click right here. And you can actually add additional information, either username, event category, keywords. You can just add publisher name, whatever you wish to. Once I'm satisfied with the alert, then I will just click create. So you see the difference in creating just an event collection rule and an alert-based rule. So collection rules, time rules do not collect alert information or send alerting information, but alert collection rules do. This concludes our video on optimizing rules. In the next series of videos, you will look or we will discuss backup, restore, and disaster recovery.